Today's video is going to be fantastic if you're a newer golfer, beginner golfer, or just even if you're an experienced golfer who feels like you've just kind of lost your way a little bit. The things I'm going to cover in this video are great for someone who's new to the game, but they also really help for someone who's just struggling a little bit and wants to go kind of back to basics. So it's really going to help you. I'm going to cover the 4 kind of key stages that I would take a newer golfer through in their early lessons to get them to certainly perform pretty good with the irons. This is the Montgomery course at the Max Royale in Turkey. Massive thank you to Golf Travel Centre for arranging this trip. Let's get started. The first thing that I would really want a newer golfer to do is get some really key things down when it comes to your connection with a golf club. So let's take a look at my glove hands. That's going to be my lead hand. The golf club itself, the grip, needs to be very much in the base of the fingers, so sort of down in this area here. We want to avoid it going too much through the lifeline of the hand, which is really common for new golfers. They often pick up their club and instinctively they want to sort of put the club more through the kind of lifeline of the hand like this. So if I take my lead hand grip and just open up my palm, you can see where that golf club runs, very much through the base of the fingers. If I then close my fingers around, the pad on my hand, you can see mine's worn away a little bit here, the pad of my hand will sit on top of the handle, and that's why mine has kind of worn away a little bit. And then the thumb sits on the top. Now if I kind of put the club down and show you what that grip looks like, you'll see that as I look down, my thumb very fractionally sits slightly on the trail side of the grip. Not a huge amount, but it's slightly on the trail side. That's a great checkpoint also. And I appreciate you can't see this, but I can see 1 and 2 of these knuckles on my hand. So those checkpoints are really important, and they're really important for sort of one key reason. I'm going to show you what that is now. Without moving my lead forearm, I should be able to get the club shaft up towards horizontal. Okay, that is key because that's what's going to create the sort of effort and the flow and the speed in my golf swing. Now, if we look at golf grips across the world tours, we see all different styles and weaknesses and different twists, and people apply their hands in different ways. But they generally have the golf club running through the correct part of the hand, and that's really key. Great for beginners to get that dialed in the early stages. So that brings us on to the sort of second thing that I would do with a golfer who is newer to the game once we've got a fairly decent grip established. I want to get the club head moving around their body. Really, really key. When someone's new to the game, they very often strangle the golf club, and they very often don't have a huge amount of swing of the golf club. So this would be the next little exercise I would take a golfer. I don't really care at this stage how they're setting themselves up in terms of posture, but I would want them to place their hands on the golf club. Okay, right hand is going to sit around the left hand. And all I would really have them do is point their chest at the golf ball, keep the chest pointing at the golf ball, and take the weight of the club head, which she's going to be feeling sort of down in this area here. That's where I feel the weight. I'm going to take that weight and I'm going to move it above my hands this side and above my hands this side. That is literally my feeling. And I can only do that if I've positioned my hands on the club correctly, which is why that was so important. So I would take a setup. It really doesn't matter what that setup looks like at this stage. Club head goes above the hands, above the hands. Okay? Above the hands, above the hands. And once they can start to do that, I would ask them to do that continuously without stopping. So we start to get a little bit of flow. And as they're doing this, I'm asking them to take their grip pressure and see if they can reduce it and reduce it and reduce it, and keeping it as light as possible. Now what this little exercise does is it gets the club swinging around the body, but look at my arms. My trail arm is starting to fold, and on the through side, my lead arm is starting to fold, because we're trying to get the club head above my hands, above my hands. Great little exercise, because you know, even with experienced golfers, we see weird and wonderful arm positions where they don't fold correctly, they don't let the club head swing correctly, they don't get the weight of the club above their hands. So this is a great little exercise for that. Now I've got this ball teed up. I would absolutely do that for a newer golfer, and there's no reason why I can't just set myself up. And again, I'm not overly concerned with posture. Let the club rest on the ground, have a nice light grip pressure, and then go club above hands, and just let the ball get in the way of the club. That's all I'm looking to at this stage. I'm not really concerned with distance or flight or anything like that. I just want to get this golfer to place their hands on the club correctly, have the club swinging quite freely, and have that make contact with the golf ball. And even after those two things, there's a basic golf swing there. There's a shape to it, there's a movement to it, the club is swinging, and we start to be able to, get the first kind of feelings and sensations of what a golf swing is actually like. This would then bring us on to the third sort of section. And the third section is me saying to this golfer, okay, pretty good so far, let's get the body involved. Let's get the body doing something in this golf swing to assist that golf club on its kind of journey around you. So the next stage would be to say, okay, let's remove the golf club for a moment. Let's put it across the shoulders and let's stand to the golf ball and let's just tip over towards the ball. And again, in terms of posture at this stage, that's all I'm really looking for. Can we tip over towards the ball? And as soon as we actually put the golf club in, we often sort of create our posture based on the length of the club. What I would then say to them would be, you've got two ends of the golf club. We've got this end, which is the grip end, and this end, which is the club head. I want you to point each of those at the golf ball. Grip end first, and then the club end. So what would they do? Point the grip end at the ball, point the club end at the ball. Grip end at the ball, club end at the ball. And what we're starting to get here is a rotation or a pivot. Okay? The key thing is pointing this at the ball, because so many golfers early on will rotate such as this. But you can see that doesn't kind of hit my checkpoints, or they might do weird and wonderful things with their body, or they might turn like this. But when I actually get the grip to point at the ball, it actually influences what my lower body's doing. You can see my knees have changed flex, my hips have turned, all of those things happen because I was simply trying to get the grip down at the ball. So it's grip at ball, club head at ball. Simple as that. And I love that because they can go ahead and do that at home. They can do that in front of a reflection or mirror. They can train this without being on a golf course. Then if we put the golf club back in, nice light grip pressure, and I said shoulder at ball, club head above hands, shoulder at ball, club head above hands. Suddenly now we've got that club swinging around the body, but now our body is actually moving. Our body is doing something. It's assisting with the movement. And as before, I would tee a ball up and say, just do that. Just do that and actually focus on clipping the tee that's in the ground. And what we'd start to see is generally a little bit more speed, a little bit more distance, and a little bit more height, because we've got the club swinging around the body, and now we've got the body kind of moving as well. We're nearly there. That would be, in terms of a golf swing, the kind of key things that I would really want to coach someone in the early stages. But there's one thing which is really important when it comes to golf, and it's to do with concept. And I would absolutely touch on this in those early stages. And as I said at the start, if you're an experienced golfer, this even might be beneficial to you. My golf club is a bit dirty now. I would be talking to a new golfer about what the club should do relative to the ground. It should hit the ground target side of the ball. For me, that's huge, because we don't want a new golfer to start the game trying to lift the ball into the air. So discussing with them how the club interacts with the ground and where it interacts with the ground, and the fact that the only reason the ball goes in the air is because the club's got loft, for me, has to be up there with one of the first things I would talk about. So I would actually take that setup, that movement to a golf ball, and actually ask them to make that swing and try and land the golf club target side of the ball and have the focus on the ground target side of the ball. That would be the last thing I would do. And keep it quite simple. I won't go into too much detail, but can they make a swing and land the club target side of the ball? And you can see I'm going really slow speed here, but I'm creating a golf swing with a good strike, with the right concepts, with some flow, and that is a great place to start. Everything in there is what you need to play golf. The club is swinging freely, I'm turning the body, I've got a good connection to the club, my strike is developing because I've got good concepts, and I'm well on my way to becoming a much better golfer. So if you know a newer golfer, I'd love you to share this with them. It can really help them. I really hope this helps. Even if you're an experienced golfer, there might be something there which can help you improve your game.